Hey guys, and welcome back to Lost Bits, the series where we explore video game content that goes unused, scrapped, altered, and unseen. I've been covering a lot of Mario stuff lately, felt like kind of shaking things up this week, so I asked you guys what you'd like to see next, and by a wide margin, it looks like Crash Bandicoot is back up to bat. Coming off the heels of the successful first game, Crash Bandicoot 2 Cortex Strikes Back strive to push the series further, with more challenging levels and new additions like new abilities and objects to collect. I'm still working on branching out the channel to more non-Nintendo series, so if you do enjoy the video, do consider letting me and the YouTube algorithm know with a like down below. And before we get started, really quickly, just wanted to let you know that my channel sponsor G Fuel has just boosted code Tetra to 30% off your order for the next few days. So if you want to scoop some energy formula for the first time, or if you want to try out their Crash Bandicoot Wampa Fruit inspired flavor, all while supporting me and the channel, that was a great time to do so. Cheers. And with all of that said, it's time to bust up some more crates and find some lost bits. Alright, so to kick things off, there are currently 3 publicly known pre-release builds out there that have been dumped for Crash 2. So let's go through them and discuss some of the changes they have compared to the final release. First up is a pre-release build of Crash 2 that was found amongst other demos in the European collection of demos sent out to Sony's registered users. For simplicity, and since it only contains the stage Bear It, this demo is just referred to as the Bear It demo. And this is currently the earliest publicly available build of the game, dating back to around August 12th of 1997. And like I said, it's found in this early demo disc, which had quite the menu. We got some totally not demonetizable action going on here. I'm telling you, man, 90s marketing was something else. Anyways, onto the game. So the Bear It demo just contains the one stage, and there are several differences seen here compared to the final game. This build still uses old snow effects, the warping animation lacks any sound effects, as does the nitro switch at the end here. Crash only has one sighing idle animation here, as it appears the shivering one wasn't implemented yet. The nitro switch doesn't update the number of boxes broken, and this build lacks the exit warp animation altogether, as the screen quickly fades to white before cutting to black. And the stage 2 itself has a few changes. Most notably, there are several more checkpoints in this demo version. I think there's like 3 or 4 more than are seen in the final, and I assume the ones that were removed was to make the stage a little bit more difficult. Then another oddity is seen in the ice reflections in this stage. So normally Crash's reflection can be seen on the ice, fair enough. But after just losing 1 life and respawning, Crash's reflection can no longer be seen. I mean, it's possible this could have been some sort of developer joke to reference that he's dead and a ghost or whatever, but it's way more likely that it's just a bug. Next, this demo has this annoying thing where if you press the start button, the game will kick you back out to the main demo menu. As such, the pause menu for this demo is normally never seen. Thankfully though, by some hacking, the pause menu can actually be brought up where some more differences can be seen. The unselected menu font and crystal are gray in the demo as opposed to brown and purple respectively as seen in the final. Then the background for the gem is much brighter in the demo, and the gem itself is smaller. And in the demo, the only option menu that is here is the sound option. And lastly, for this demo, in the game's internal level names text strings, it can be seen that at this point in development, the stage Behaving had a slightly different name, Behavin', which I think is a better play on words since this can be also read as be having. Moving on, the next demo build, for the same reason as the previous one, is known as the Snow Go demo, and this one is believed to carry a build date of not long after the previous one, around August 22nd, 1997. This one too was found in a demo compilation known as the Interactive CD Sampler Volume 5. This time, this collection was circulated in North America with a much less suggestive menu. Here we got stuff like the Star Wars fighting game no one remembers, as well as everyone's favorite, Gex 2. Well, only a video preview of it. Anyways, since this build date is so close to the last one, many of the differences are the same here, such as the lack of certain sound effects and animations, and the pause menu is also almost the same here as from the previous demo, only here the gem was updated to be purple. The only major differences in this demo version of the Snow Go level can be seen in the side-scrolling segments. First off, the area just under the red gem was altered quite a bit. The pit to the left of the gem was moved, making the platform under the gem smaller in the final, and for whatever reason, the back ice mirror thing was also removed. It's believed that this change to the platform length was made since it was possible to get the gem an unintended way by jumping off the seal and doing a belly flop to gain more height. Unfortunately, this didn't really make much of a difference if that was the case, as it's still entirely possible to pull this trick off, albeit a bit more difficult. Next, although not normally accessible in this demo, with some hacking, the secret root section can be accessed, and there, an untextured segment of the wall can be seen. I guess this area just wasn't quite ready to be shown off, so not surprised it wasn't normally included in this demo. Then, the last currently known and dumped pre-release build isn't a public demo build this time, but rather one that was sent to the press for review. This version carries the build date of September 14th, 1997, about a month and a half from the game's North American release date. Since it is much closer to the final release, it appears much more complete and actually features more than one level this time. But even though it is much closer to the final build, there are still numerous differences that can be seen in this build. These include still not having some sound effects like on any of the menu screens, it's impossible to skip the opening cutscenes, Crash's body slam move can't break any boxes above him in this build, Crash will just freeze up and only blink when on the load save screen in the warp rooms, and many, many more. In the interest of time, I won't be going over all of the differences in this build, but as always, if you'd like to read up on more of them, I'll leave a link to the cutting room floor page down in my sources in the description. Now, those are all of the publicly available builds that are dumped online, but there are actually more out there, as differing ones can be seen in some early screenshots and trailer footage. So as such, these must have been more builds that were shared with the press. Even more changes can be seen in these videos and screenshots, like still using the heads-up display from the first game, some unknown sunset level, the warp room was different, item placement was changed, different level layouts, and even some cut segments, like this one in the sewer or later stage. Luckily, we got the one press build leaked to the public over the years, so here's to hoping that some of these other ones make their way to us in the future. And on that note, now let's change gears and move on to talking about the final release of Crash 2. Now, first up here, not technically unused, but there's a hidden bonus video that can only be accessed in the Japanese release of the game. Now, normally you don't learn how to access this until beating the game, but you can access it whenever you want to if you know what to do. When booting up the game, on the PlayStation logo, press and hold left circle L1 and R1 to access this hidden video. This 2.5-minute music video features Crash in a variety of situations, doing some flips, fine dining on a Wampa fruit, getting crushed by a Mayan calendar, and just doing stuff bandicoots do, I guess. But the main reason I bring this up, though, is the music here is also the Japanese exclusive menu music, which is an absolute bop. So if you haven't heard it yet, here's a quick sample of what you've been missing out on.
Crash Bandicoot! Crash Bandicoot! Crash Bandicoot! Crash Bandicoot!
Really gets the old fingers a-snapping. Alright, moving on to the truly unused content here. First up, we got a pair of unused graphics. Definitely not nearly as many this time around as in Crash 1, but I'll take it. The first of these is an unused set of textures for the Tnt Boxes found amongst the files for Ripperoo. What makes this set particularly special is that here, numbers 1 through 8 are present. Now, normally, Tnt Boxes only count down from 3 or from 6 specifically in the Ripperoo fight, thus leaving the number 7 and 8 section never used. I guess perhaps the developers were once planning, or at least toying around with the idea of making these, or Tnt Boxes elsewhere in the game, start counting from 8. To add to this, amongst the graphics files for the Tnt Boxes, which are listed as RTX 6G or V, with X being a number from 1 to 6, are 2 extra files labeled as RT96G and RT96V. Now, these are both just untextured versions of the crates, but based on the naming convention similarity, it's entirely possible that these were reserved for the Tnt Boxes starting at 7 or 8, or based on the naming, maybe even 9. Then next, the other unused graphic in this game is a set of 4 placeholder icons, with the word icon literally written on them. These are all placeholders for the images used on the save load menu. So I spent most of this video so far talking about the pre-release version of Crash 2, and interestingly enough, there are a few leftovers thought to be from earlier builds that still remain normally unused in the final product. For example, in the stage Cold Hard Crash, by using a level editor, it can be seen that originally the bonus area was possibly meant to be connected to the section after Crash slides down a bunch of slopes, and that the end platform would have taken Crash up here. And to add fuel to this theory, the gap here appears to be the same size as the platform too. Now this is believed to have been changed since by going through this bonus area it would have skipped several boxes this way, as well as a significant portion of the actual level. Then, additional pre-release leftovers in this build include an old E3 build gem path in the sewer or later stage, as well as information in the files for the Road to Ruin stage, which reveals that there are some falling platforms placed very far from the stage itself. And last up for this video are some unused, or at least references to some unused objects. First up is a signpost that was seen in E3 footage of the Ruination stage. This sign was to point the player to both the easy and hard paths in the stage. It doesn't normally appear in the game anymore, but some data for it is still left over in the game and is actually still functional. And as such, it has even been re-implemented into the game by some modders. Pretty cool. Next, although not technically unused, there are two boxes that are never normally seen by the player in the totally bare stage. So if you've played Crash 2, you might have wondered why this icy area here looks so asymmetric. Well, it actually isn't supposed to be because there are actually a total of 7 boxes that are loaded here. So where are the TNT and extra life boxes, you're probably wondering. Well, all of these boxes are actually loaded in when the stage is loaded, but due to an error with how some TNT crates destroy other crates when too far away, the bottom left TNT box explodes, taking the extra life box with it way before the player can ever reach this spot. And surprisingly, it doesn't look like this was fixed in the Insane Trilogy remakes. Next, the fight with N-Jin has data for 20 missile paths, but only 10 of them go used, leaving the rest not. Then there's believed to be a scrapped gem that was once planned for the Bear Down stage. Now normally, this stage only has 1 gem and 1 crystal, but apparently there is data for a 3rd gem slot on the warp door to this stage. To further support this idea, this slot uses an internal name similar to those of other stages that have additional gems, and seen in the ending that's unlocked after collecting all gems and crystals is a tall tower of gems. This tower has a total of 43 gems, 1 more than is actually obtainable in the game, again suggesting that a gem, likely this one from Bear Down, was scrapped. And lastly, the stages Behaving and Diggin' It both contain an object listed as OBJ Hive that goes unused. The beehives that are used are listed as OBJ Beehive, so it's not exactly clear what just Hive was compared to Beehive, aside from maybe an early or alternate version of the Beehive. And speaking of object names, again, not unused or anything, but there are some pretty interesting naming references in the game. Firstly, Crash's spawning area is marked by an object listed as OBJ Willy, with Willy, of course, being Crash's original planned name, as I discussed in the Crash 1 Lost Bits video. And then there's also some pretty wacky stuff, like the short form name for the lab assistants just being truncated to ass. Now this wouldn't be too crazy on its own, but it seems like the developers were keen to jump on some innuendos with this and even named an object OBJ Assbanger. Yeah, real nice. And that about wraps up Crash 2. If you enjoyed the video and would like to see a future Crash 3 video and beyond, again, be sure to let me know with a like and comment down below. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today, and I will see you in a bit.